Hey, Kjell. Quick question for you. Were you able to complete step 5 on that copy? And also, can you get that SSC lid shut behind you? Over your left shoulder. Yeah, that one.
And yes, I was, sorry about that, I meant to call you on that. I was able to complete step 5 of that procedure.
Excellent, thank you. And then with that, are you ready to get going?
Ready to start.
Station, this is Houston. Are you ready for the event?
Houston's ready for the event.
Fort Collins, Coloradoan. This is Mission Control, Houston. Please call station for a voice check. This is Mission Control, Houston. Please call station for a voice check.
Station, this is Molly Bohannon with the Fort Collins, Coloradoan. How do you hear me?
You're coming in a little bit scrambled. How do you hear me?
I hear you well. Is this any better at all?
It's still a little bit hard to hear you, but we can see. We'll see if we can figure it out.
And Kjell, would you please turn your mic on and off?
And Kjell, would you please turn your mic on and off?
Okay, can you hear me better now?
Yeah, that's a little bit better. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much for taking a few minutes and talking with me this morning. Like I said, I'm from the Fort Collins newspaper, so pretty interested in your relationship to CSU and Fort Collins. So if we can just kind of start and jump right in with that. You did your master's here, correct? So how long were you here in Fort Collins?
Yeah, thank you. Well, I'm super excited to be chatting with you. I well remember reading the Coloradoan and recall my time in Fort Collins very fondly. I went to Colorado State University immediately after graduating from the Air Force Academy, and I got to spend about a year and a half there in Fort Collins completing my master's degree. It was an absolutely extraordinary time, and Fort Collins is one of my favorite places in the U.S.
What would you say was your favorite part of the community here, whether the Colorado State community or the greater Fort Collins community?
I really enjoyed the culture of Fort Collins. You know, the fact that it is very much a university town. I loved being able to ride my bike from where I lived to school and really all over town. I loved the options of things to do there, whether it was hiking, biking, or just spending time in town, finding a good place to eat.
How would you say you use kind of in your day-to-day life now as an astronaut what you learned here during your time at Colorado State?
Yeah, thank you. You know, I feel like my time at CSU, my time in Fort Collins, really foundational, very fundamental to the journey that I have experienced. I really enjoyed my time at the U.S. Air Force Academy. A lot of opportunities there, but my time at Colorado State really represented an opportunity to specifically focus on something that I was very passionate about. And so I graduated from undergrad with a degree in biology, but I was really interested in cardiovascular physiology, and specifically how the heart and the cardiovascular system work in the weightless environment. And so my time at CSU allowed me to really, truly and focus on that topic. And I just had such a great time learning in that CSU environment. The faculty, the fellow students, the atmosphere there at CSU were really just phenomenal. And I'm really grateful for that opportunity and the platform that it gave me to then go on to further study medicine, to become an emergency medicine physician, and ultimately to have this opportunity to fly in space.
Mm-hmm. Is there anything else you want to add about your time at CSU before I kind of move on to what you're doing now and what your day-to-day life looks like now?
Well, I just, when I think about CSU, really like any of the organizations or places I lived, to me, I really think about the people. And so my advisor, Dr. Alan Tucker, who unfortunately passed away in the early 2000s, was just a phenomenal instructor, professor, and mentor. And so I think about studying with him. I think about the colleagues and classmates that I had during that course of study. I got to go out to NASA Ames Research Center in Sunnyvale, California, to do my thesis research. And so I spent 3 months kind of in that San Jose area, again, studying very specifically cardiovascular physiology and weightlessness. I worked in the space physiology lab there at NASA, which was there at the time under Dr. Alan Hargens, and just all of the people that I got to interact with professionally and socially just made a real impression on me. And so I think that is a huge part of the fond memories that I have for the time that I spent at CSU and in Fort Collins.
Yeah. And so kind of with regard to what you're doing now, how would you sum up kind of the mission of this trip that you're on, if you could walk me through that a little bit?
You bet. Well, it's an incredible privilege to be a part of the NASA human spaceflight team. And so our crew 4, which we have Bob Hines, who is the pilot of our vehicle, and then Jessica Watkins and Samantha Cristoforetti, who served as mission specialists. The 4 of us joined our Russian colleagues up here to form the crew of Expedition 67. And our mission is really to continue the extraordinary research and science that has been conducted here on the space station for almost 20 years, for over 20 years. And that is to really leverage this incredible environment where a huge force that we experience on the Earth, gravity, is essentially absent. And so we get to study fundamental physics, combustion, fluid dynamics, and the effects that weightlessness and spaceflight have on the human body. And so we continue those studies. Last time I was here, I flew in 2015. Some of my favorite projects included capillary beverage, seeing how fluids flow in space and how you can use geometry and materials to transfer fluids without electricity or a pump. Another project was veggie, where we got to grow romaine lettuce in a veggie enclosure. And some of those projects continue. So up here now, I have the opportunity to work on a project called X-Roots. And so it's a variation of this veggie experiment. That previous experiment actually grew the plants. The seeds were in a kind of a soil matrix, in a pillow of soil. That can be cumbersome, and it's a little bit limiting in terms of the number of plants that you can grow. And so this time, this X-Roots project is actually looking at using hydroponics and aeroponics, so root systems directly in water or in air, and being fed by being provided with nutrients through the system. And so the idea is that a system like this, you can get denser crop growth. It's a way to potentially advance, to utilize plants for food in future missions to Mars and beyond, and also to figure out ways how to cultivate more densely food crops back on the Earth.
I only have a few more seconds, but I just real quick, what do you think is one thing that would surprise people the most down here about about your day-to-day or what you're doing up there in space?
It's amazing to be up here, the opportunity to float and the opportunity to see the Earth from this vantage point, to be a part of a team that's doing things that is bigger than any one individual. I think the thing is surprising, though, that movies, science fiction, or even historical documentaries, it looks very glamorous, but the truth is that the day-to-day, the absence of gravity actually makes things a little bit harder. So using the bathroom and having to do housekeeping on the weekends and trying to not make a mess while we're eating. These mundane things, I think, will probably be surprising, but they're a part of spaceflight and part of what we need to learn in order to be able to go to the moon and to go to Mars in the future.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much. That's my time, but I really appreciate you taking the time to do this while you're up there.
Thank you so much for the questions, and truly a pleasure to get to speak to you in Fort Collins and to the Coloradoan. Please give my best to that community. I can't wait to visit again when I get back.
Station, this is Houston ACR. That concludes the Fort Collins, Coloradoan portion of the event. Please stand by for a voice check from Fox News Media.
Station, I'm Susan Lee with Fox News Media. Do you hear me?
I'm Susan Lee with Fox News Media. Do you hear me?
I hear you loud and clear. How do you hear me?
Astronaut Kjell, thank you so much for joining us. It is such a pleasure to have you with us today. So I'll just start off with asking about your views and hopes and dreams for Asian Americans. Kjell, so what do you say to Asian American kids who are looking at you right now at the International Space Station and they say, how do I become an astronaut one day just like you?
Yeah, well, thank you for that question, and such a pleasure to have this opportunity to talk with you. It is an amazing privilege to be a part of this team. Not only to represent NASA here on the International Space Station and to conduct the science and research to extend our presence in the solar system and to make life better back on Earth, but to be a part of an international team. We have Samantha Cristoforetti, who's an Italian astronaut on Crew 4, and we're part of a larger Expedition 67 partnered with 3 Russian cosmonauts. And I think, when you look across the international partnership, we have the European Space Agency, Canada, Japan, Russia, and the U.S. with NASA. It is a real representation of what we are able to accomplish when we all work together for peaceful means. This is an amazing place to live and work, and so I hope that that kids that are looking at the astronauts working here right now recognize that you can set a goal and you can work towards it. And you can make that dream come true. For me, this is something that I've dreamed of doing for as long as I can remember, and I'm grateful that I had parents that told me, "Hey, if you want to do that, you just have to work hard." And of course, it requires a little bit of luck as well. But I am immensely grateful for the mentors and all of the people, teachers, coaches, classmates that have invested in me along the way to help me to achieve this dream. And so for the kids that are watching, I would say dream big, set your goals, tell your parents, tell your friends on what your goal is, share that goal, and then work hard to achieve that goal.
Now, not only are you an astronaut, you're a medical doctor, a jump master in the Air Force. Did you feel that you had to live up to high standards growing up with an Asian parent?
I think my parents had high expectations of me, but they never told me, like, hey, you have to do this job or you have to be this for a career. Again, I remember talking to my mom specifically, and her saying, look, whatever it is that you want to achieve, whatever it is that you want to be, you just have to work hard and work towards that goal. And they supported me, through each of those stages. When I was in the Air Force, when I was going to medical school, I very much appreciate their support and their just the positive atmosphere that they created for my sister and I to pursue our dreams.
As a role model for the Asian American community, Kjell, do you feel that what you're representing is that hard work does pay off and America does give you chances?
Yeah, I know that every circumstance is different, and that there are so many people out there that are encountering obstacles and challenges along the way. I certainly faced my own set of challenges and obstacles as I was on this path to becoming an astronaut, and so if by my being in this job serves as an inspiration to someone that is interested in pursuing something like this, pursuing the opportunity to be a part of the human spaceflight team, then I am really, really grateful to serve in that role. I would say that this is an amazing country, and that while there are obstacles out there, that if you work hard, I think that you really can work towards that dream. And I found in my own circumstances that sometimes the dream, the thing that you think you were pursuing, obstacles and circumstances come up and redirect you a little bit, and you discover that you actually have an interest or a passion for something else. And so when that path diverges a little bit, just keeping your eyes open and being flexible and pursuing the opportunities that lay in front of you, and doing that, you may discover new things, new interests, and new opportunities.
Kjell, you set very high standards. As a child, did you feel that you had to work harder than others in order to be recognized?
I don't know that I ever felt like I was necessarily competing against others. I think that I had high standards for myself and and my parents had high expectations of me. I'm grateful for the amazing teachers and coaches that I had along the way. I really went to school largely in the Department of Defense system. I grew up from third grade to my freshman year in high school. I lived in England and went to U.S. schools on military installations, and then finished high school in Virginia at Robinson Secondary. And so I'm grateful for the caliber of teacher and the amazing mentorship that I received along that path. And I really feel like those folks invested in me and helped me to achieve what I believed I was capable of.
And what cultural inspirations inspired you to become what you are today?
I think part of it was growing up in a military family, being surrounded by airplanes and pilots and kind of this operational tempo. Part of it was my interest in science fiction and both movies and books. My parents really encouraged me to read, and I think that was a critical part of kind of discovering what it is that I wanted to do. And so reading about space and space flight, that really kind of set a bit in my brain. That was a passion of mine. And so then when I saw the Space Shuttle Columbia launch in April of 1981. I was in second grade. I remember our teacher wheeling a television into our classroom so that we could watch the launch. That's when this dream of science fiction and the reality of human spaceflight merged, and I thought, that's something that I could actually do. And so seeing that is what set the bid, I think, for me to pursue this dream of becoming an astronaut. But then also seeing Ellison Onizuka, an Asian American astronaut from Hawaii, seeing him as a part of the astronaut corps and flying, I recognized like, hey, this is something that I could do, and that really cemented this dream for me.
And what about the future? Since you are in a future industry, Kjell, what advice and what message do you have for the Asian American community to pursue their dreams, to have a voice in the future of not only America, but the future of the universe?
Yeah, I would say that we live in an absolutely amazing country. I mean, it has its challenges, and as individuals, we each face obstacles, but the opportunities are there, and so to have this opportunity to dream about becoming an astronaut, and then actually to follow a path that led to the fulfillment of that dream, to have this opportunity to live and work in low Earth orbit, I hope that is. I hope it provides proof that with hard work, that you really can pursue a goal, achieve that goal, and make a dream come true.
One more question, Kjell. Did you have a tiger parent? Are you a tiger parent yourself with high expectations?
I don't think my mom was certainly very interested in how I was doing in school. I don't know that I would really call her a tiger parent, though. And I don't think that my wife and I are tiger parents. We're very interested. I have a daughter that's going to Texas A&M. She's finishing up her sophomore year, and I have sons that are currently in 8th grade, and they're junior year in high school. And we are just passionate about them figuring out what it is that they're passionate about and what they're interested in, and just really trying to help in whatever way we can to help them achieve their own goals. We certainly recognize that they have a high potential and are interested in them achieving that potential, but really want them to set their own path for their own dreams.
Kjell, thank you so much. Keep inspiring.
Thank you so much for your time today, and thank you for the great questions. It was awesome to get to chat with you.
Station, this is Houston ACR. Thank you. That concludes our event.
And thank you all participants from the Fort Collins, Coloradoan and Fox News Media station. We are now resuming operational comm.